They assumed she would falter. They expected hesitation, maybe the kind of crumble that comes when an underestimated soldier faces pressure. But when he lunged at her, reckless and angry, confident that his size made him untouchable, what hit the ground wasn't fear. It was his arm twisted violently, the crack echoing across the training field like a rifle shot. 282 soldiers froze. Silence swept through the field, heavy and absolute, as the largest man in the ring collapsed at the feet of the smallest woman present. Instructors scrambled, calling it a mistake. A misstep, heat stress, anything but what it truly was. They had seen her as quiet, unremarkable, a routine demonstrator with nothing remarkable behind her eyes. They had never anticipated precision. They had never expected control. They had never imagined the instant she shifted from demonstration to survival mode. Before we break down exactly how she executed it, the line she spoke afterward, and the ripple effect that shook the entire base, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and settle in. This soldier wasn't fragile. She wasn't intimidated. She wasn't unprepared. She was ready. His scream sliced through the morning air, sharp enough to make even the most seasoned soldiers flinch. In the center of the training field, he curled around his shattered arm, twisted at an unnatural angle. Medics sprinted across the dirt, boots pounding, shouting instructions. Around them, 282 soldiers stood frozen, disbelief etched into every face. Some had survived firefights overseas, yet none had expected to witness this in a controlled demonstration. Time seemed to hesitate, uncertain how to proceed. Pause everything just before the medics reached him, and you would see more than chaos. You would see the question burning in every stunned expression. How could a routine training session explode like this? How could one reckless lunge turn an ordinary morning into an unforgettable event? Her name was Elena Rohr. At first glance, she didn't seem like a soldier capable of silencing a field full of peers. Standing just under 5'4", compact and unassuming, her frame seemed swallowed by her protective gear. Dark hair tucked beneath her cap, her expression radiated calm focus, the kind born from knowing. Early on, that presence doesn't need volume to command attention. Most underestimated her immediately, and she never minded. Underestimation was her greatest advantage. Those who trained with her learned quickly that where she lacked in size, she more than compensated with precision. Elena moved through the morning with quiet ease, tightening her gloves, checking her gear, breathing steadily as the sun warmed the ground beneath her boots. To her, this was just another demonstration, another chance to show recruits that technique mattered more than brute force. She didn't boast, yet stories about her circulated, tales of how she could redirect the momentum of someone twice her size, how her stances flowed with a natural balance that seemed instinctive. Instructors used her to prove that mastery wasn't defined by height or weight, but by discipline and hours spent perfecting the smallest movements. Stepping onto the field that morning, she expected nothing beyond a series of drills, questions from curious recruits, maybe a brief display of friendly competition. Yet beneath her calm, something subtle shifted, barely perceptible, yet unmistakable, like the quiet before a storm. Sergeant Mason Hale filled a room before he spoke. At 6'2", broad-shouldered, he carried confidence that bordered on entitlement. He measured strength in inches and pounds, clinging stubbornly to the belief that size equated authority. That morning, he watched her from a distance, arms crossed, jaw tight, hovering between annoyance and disbelief. Every time she demonstrated, he whispered dismissive comments to those beside him, questioning her strength, mocking volunteers, waving off respect others had for her. His words carried weight, and though many rolled their eyes at his outdated perspective, few confronted him. Beneath the bravado, a flicker of unease betrayed him. Elena's effortless control seemed to provoke a quiet fear disguised as contempt. He sensed his world, cracking, bracing himself for confrontation, unaware of how far his pride would push him. By the start of the demonstration, 282 soldiers formed a vast circle around her. Dust drifted upward in soft spirals, catching the light, as if the ground itself understood something significant was about to unfold. Elena guided volunteers through familiar movements, showing how subtle shifts could redirect power efficiently. When she threw the first volunteers safely to the ground, murmurs of appreciation swept the circle. Her movements were precise, gestures clean, voice steady. Soldiers nodded, whispered to each other, taking mental notes for the field. But Mason's voice cut across the growing interest, first as quiet scoffs and dismissals, then as pointed commentary. He questioned why they watched someone half the size of a real threat, mocked the volunteers, and increasingly spoke loud enough for Elena to hear. Some soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. Others rolled their eyes at his stubbornness. The air thickened. Elena felt it but held focus, correcting stances, offering calm explanations. Her professionalism was her quiet stand, refusing to be dragged into pettiness. Mason wasn't finished. Each flawless demonstration seemed to provoke him further, as if her competence threatened what he felt he needed to protect. Somewhere in the crowd, soldiers sensed the tension building toward a moment they wouldn't be ready for. Then it happened. Mason's voice rose above the circle, dripping with mockery, claiming her techniques only worked on compliant partners. He challenged her right to stand in the circle. Conversations died. Soldiers waited to see her response. Elena, calm, asked if he would volunteer. The crowd held its collective breath. Pride overrode caution, and Mason stepped forward, forcing confidence that stemmed from fear of losing face rather than readiness. The circle tightened. What began as a demonstration became something heavier. In the first exchange, Elena moved as if choreographed with the air itself. Mason struck predictably, slower than he realized. She redirected his momentum with clean, controlled motion. She didn't humiliate him, she executed her technique perfectly. His knee hit the ground with a flush of embarrassment that hardened into aggression. His movements lost control, replaced by reckless intent. She sensed it. Mason lunged, this time with full force, intent to harm. In the split second before contact, her training clicked into place. Focus sharpened, everything else faded. She read his intent in his posture, commitment and recklessness. Fear flickered, not paralyzing, but instructive. Her body responded, instincts guiding precise leverage. She stepped slightly, letting his momentum dictate the angle. Her grip caught his wrist, pivoting her stance, redirecting the surge into a controlled arc. His energy collapsed back onto him violently, and his arm twisted beyond its limits. The crack echoed like gunfire. Soldiers recoiled, some stepping back, others inhaling sharply. Mason screamed, raw and fierce, leaving no doubt something catastrophic had occurred. Elena remained centered, breath steady, heart pounding. For a suspended second, no one moved. The circle that had buzzed with chatter was carved from stone. Then chaos erupted. Medics rushed in, shouting instructions, dust swirling. Commanders arrived, slicing through confusion with controlled urgency. Soldiers straightened instinctively. Senior officers assessed the scene, questions firing immediately, seeking facts before opinions. Elena answered steadily, knowing she acted in self-defense. Witnesses' accounts formed a consistent picture. Mason escalated aggression, ignored protocol, and sought to harm. In the hours that followed, Elena replayed the moment, questioning every detail despite knowing she acted correctly. The final report was unambiguous. Her response was measured, justified, aligned with training. Mason faced disciplinary action and was discharged quietly. The illusion he had built around himself shattered as decisively as his arm. Elena remained. The experience changed her. She channeled the weight of that day into teaching, eventually earning promotion, guiding younger soldiers with technique, discipline, and humility. Her story became legend, not about violence, but about truth. Real strength is never defined by size, and respect is never optional. Years later, recruits who weren't present still spoke of the morning, One moment rewrote assumptions and reminded everyone why mastery surpasses muscle.